I wish those cameras, the fake news, look at all of them up there. I wish they'd turn around and show the crowd. They never like to do it. That goes back as far as the eye can see, and I even see people way back. I just want to thank you. I just want to thank you and say hello, Mesa, and hello, Phoenix. We love Phoenix, and we love the great state of Arizona. It's been really good. We won it big, and we won it big a second time. The second time, they didn't exactly give us a good count, but that's being worked on also, as you know. Uncle Sam, thank you very much for being here, the great Uncle Sam. It's wonderful to be back in Arizona with thousands of proud, hardworking American patriots. You are amazing people. This is a fantastic state. 30 days from now, the people of Arizona are going to fire your radical and highly incompetent Senator Mark Kelly. He's grossly incompetent. And you're going to send desperately needed Blake Masters. Where's Blake? Where is Blake? Blake Masters to the U.S. Senate. He's a tremendous guy, and he's a smart one, too, and that's what you need. And you're going to make an incredible woman, incredible, Kari Lake, your next governor. She's an incredible woman, incredible person. Look at the crowd that you drew, Kari. They're here for you and Blake and all of the Republicans. You're going to elect a truly amazing America First Republican group we're going to do a slate straight up and down. We don't want crime. We want a strong military. We want low taxes. We want great education. And we're going to end the crazy Nancy Pelosi's political career once and for all. She is crazy. Under Biden, Pelosi, Schumer, and the radical Democrat Congress, gasoline prices, congratulations, by the way, in Arizona, are up 86% in a very short period of time, and they're going higher. You know, they're trying to take our strategic reserves that we built up so beautifully, and they're right now depleted, the lowest they've been in many, many decades. Nobody remembers them, all to get your gasoline prices down before an election. The day after the election, you're going to be like a rocket ship. You know that. It's terrible. Inflation is costing the typical Arizona family almost $1,000 a month. Think of that. Over $11,000 a year. Household wealth has seen its largest drop ever recorded, ever in the history of our country. Your border has been completely obliterated. The cartels and human traffickers have seen their income skyrocket since I left your beautiful border. They've seen it skyrocket 2,000, Kari, 2,500%. That's what they're making, 2,500% more than when we were in charge. You know, we had the safest border in the history of our country. Now we have the worst border, I think, anywhere in the world. I don't think any third world country would allow to happen what's happened here. Millions and millions of illegal aliens are coming unvetted and unchecked into your communities from over 140 different countries last month. 140. Most people don't know they have that many countries. Tucson has just set an all-time homicide record, and nationwide the number of Hispanic murder victims is up over 50%. There's only one way to end this nightmare, this madness. If you want the decline and fall of America, then you must vote radical left Democrat. If you want to see this country continue, there's never been a time where our country was so embarrassed. It's just a disgrace what's happened. Do you want to see that go? Vote Democrat. They don't know what the hell they're doing, except when it comes to cheating on elections. They're very good at that. If you want to stop the destruction of our country and save the American dream, our good old American dream, and we were talking about it a lot just 2 years ago, then you have to vote Republican up and down the line. And as bad as things are today, if the radical Democrats keep their grip on the House and Senate, your finances, your family, your community, and your country will never, ever be able to recover. You're not going to recover from this. Mark Kelly and the Democrat extremists will flood the country with tens of millions more illegal aliens they'll ram them through, and they'll ram through things like mass amnesty. They want to give illegal aliens welfare, more welfare than American citizens get, more help than we give to our great veterans. They want to give free health care. I don't think anybody here has free health care. Anybody have free health care? And the right to vote, far more than we gave to our military. Think of it, more than we give to our military, more than we give to American citizens that have been outstanding and have worked so hard for our country. They'll abolish the filibuster, pack the Supreme Court, put left-wing federal bureaucrats in charge of corrupting every single election like they've been doing, gut the military, destroy our veterans, loot the Treasury, mutilate our children with gender insanity, and turn America into a third world country. And that's what's happening. Other than that, they're actually quite good. Do you agree? On November 8th, Arizona can reject this miserable fate for our nation by delivering a clean sweep of every statewide office for the Republican Party, right? Most of them are here. And if they're not here, they're here. You can prove that Arizona is still a red state, and you're a proud red state. You know, I came here, we did 3 rallies, 42,000, 44,000, and 46,000. He came, he did 1 rally. He couldn't fill up 8 circles. He put the press, he put the fake news media. That is a lot of media. Blake, Carrie, look at all of them. But once we get critical of them, you'll see the cameras turn off and they'll start to head out. Hopefully that'll be quickly. If we do not defeat the radical Democrats in this election, the maniacs and the lunatics will be totally out of control. Not that they're not already. Hello, everybody. Look at that group of people. Oh, I see. I haven't seen this. You people all have chairs. Who are these big shots over here? They all have chairs. Look at them. See, I think they should move the media back about 200 yards and let everybody. That's what I would do. I have to scold my people. If you don't mind, would you please, from now on, move the media back? They have good telescopic cameras. It won't matter. Because they block the view, all these people. But the good news is you'll never see it because they never want to show the crowds. They never want to show. But you know what? You hear them, like on television. It's on a lot of great stations right now, including, we want to thank Newsmax. They've been great. They've all been, Right Side has been fantastic. Rumble has been tremendous, all of them. Truth Social, the greatest of them all. Truth. But they've been great. They really have been great. And it's seen by millions and millions of people. Before our very eyes, Biden and his left-wing handlers are turning America into a police state. After ignoring violent attacks on pro-life clinics, the Biden administration is rounding up pro-life activists. You see it happening, and you see it happening nightly. Although, for the most part, they don't want to report it. First, they arrested the Catholic father of 7 that you read about 2 weeks ago, and then this week they arrested pro-life grandparents with guns drawn, many people going into this small but well-kept and beautiful little house. Many people, FBI, going in to take a grandmother out of that house, putting them in jail and protesting outside of abortion clinics and charging them with crimes punishable by up to 11 years in prison. 11 years. Blake, you're going to have to do something about this, Blake. We got to do something about this. Kelly isn't doing a thing about it. Kelly doesn't even know what's happening. And they're doing this to peaceful patriots at numbers that have never been seen before. And they have the right of free speech. And this is free and really, you'd almost say it's free and silent speech. They're not doing anything wrong. These are incredible people, and they're being treated like terrorists. They're being treated like drug lords. In fact, I must say drug lords are treated much better. Nothing happens to them. Nothing happens to Antifa. Nothing happens to BLM. But look at what happens to patriots. The Democrats are locking up their political opponents, spying on their political rivals, silencing dissent, and using the full force of government, law enforcement, and the media to try and crush the greatest movement in the history of America. It's the greatest movement. MEGA. It's called Make America Great Again. When Biden got up with a bad, sinister background and he talked about how bad MAGA was, I said, does anybody want to ask him if he understands what that means, MEGA? It means Make America Great Again. Every freedom-loving American needs to understand the time to stand up. Right now, we have to stand up. It's going to be too late. We've got to stop this growing tyranny, starting with the earth-shattering victory that you're going to have on November 8th. You have to go out and ideally vote on November 8th. You know, the mail-in ballots, or sometimes I will say things like the fake mail-in ballots, but I don't want to say that because that's so controversial. But the mail-in ballots are just not as good as being out there on November 8th. You know that, Carrie. Get out and vote on November 8th. It's harder for them to cheat. They cheat. They cheat. They say it's a 50-50 parties, right? So they're against God. They're against guns. They're against voter ID. Voter ID. Why are they against voter ID? They're against confirmation that you happen to be a citizen of the United States. In other words, you can't confirm when you vote. They think that's horrible. It's crazy what they're getting away with. The only way evil will triumph for good men and women is when they do nothing. You know that. And these are good people. They do nothing. I think they feel they're lost. We can't be lost. We can't be lost. We don't have time. So no matter what these left-wing radicals try next, no matter what they do to us, we have to keep on going. We have to keep on fighting because we are on a mission to restore our nation back to greatness. And you don't hear about greatness anymore. All you hear about is investigations, every investigation. I've been investigated now for 7 years, I think. A friend of mine said, you have to be the most honest person in history. He said, if they looked at me for more than 2 days, that's the end of my business. They've been after me for close to 7 years. For 6 straight years, these witch hunts have been in full force. Witch hunts, hoaxes, and abuses have been coming at us at a fast and furious pace. You don't even have time to recover. You beat them, and then you take a breath, and then they hit you again. These are dishonest people. These are people that don't love our country. They're people that don't love our country. First, we learned they spied on my campaign. How do you think it would be? Let's go back to Barack Hussein Obama. How do you think it would be if we, as Republicans, spied on his campaign? Do you think? And they don't want to do it. Well, yeah, they spied. No, they spied on the campaign, and we caught them. So let's see what's all going to happen. But they spied on my campaign. Then they lied to Congress. Many, many times lied to Congress. And then they lied to the FISA court and created a fake dossier. Remember the dossier? How would you like to be me? And go home to my great First Lady and say, First Lady, I want to tell you what they said in the dossier. And that would not work out too well for most of you men in the audience, right? And then it turned out to be a total fake. And one thing I will say about her, she said, I don't believe it. I said, oh, I'm glad about that. I'm very happy. No, but how about the things, the things they said? Uncle Sam, you saw that, right? They said things, all fake, made up by bad people. And it was done and paid for by crooked Hillary Clinton, the Democrat National Committee, and the Democrat Party in conjunction with Russia. They said Russia, Russia, Russia about me, and they were working with Russia. This could only happen to Trump. And yet, after all that, these same people came after me. So they spy on my campaign, and then they come after Trump. Remember, it was Russia, 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 Ukraine, Ukraine, Ukraine. And then it was the Mueller witch hunt where the conclusion was no collusion. Think of that. The conclusion was no collusion. Do you think Biden could say that? I don't think so. Think of that. Conclusion was no collusion. That was a tough one, and he couldn't. And then it was, after that, impeachment hoax remember this? Impeachment hoax, perfect phone call, just like we had in Georgia. We had a perfect phone call. Everybody was happy with it. Impeachment hoax number 1, impeachment hoax number 2. the censorship of the Biden family corruption story. Remember the laptop from hell? As Russian disinformation by the FBI in cooperation with Facebook and the media, which they all knew wasn't true. They knew it wasn't true, but they wanted to censor it. They wanted to keep it quiet until after the election. And pollsters have said it would have made as much as a 17-point difference in the polls. We didn't need 17 points. We didn't need 1 point. All we needed was an honest election. We didn't need anything. And now it's the unselect committee of political hacks and thugs, and that's a scam. And it's also really appalling misconduct by the racist and incompetent New York State Attorney General. She's a racist, and she's incompetent. Her name is Letitia Peekaboo James, who's presiding over record numbers of murders, rapes, drug deals, and every other form of crime in our once great New York State. Not great anymore. People are fleeing New York because of crime. But only spends her time in getting elected. Let's go after Trump. Oh, you saw the clip. Let's go after Trump. Maybe I can get elected. She knew nothing about me. Never heard of her. She ran for governor and failed badly. She got almost nothing. Now she's running again for attorney general with a record of massive crime, the likes of which New York State has never seen before. She's down in the polls, losing to a strong crime fighter. That's what we need, is a strong Republican crime fighter. Who would ever want to vote for somebody like her, so corrupt and so bad on violent crime? We need people that are going to fight crime. We need a safe country again. Peekaboo wants to defund the police, hates the people of law enforcement, and will never do anything about the massive New York State crime wave taking place before our very eyes. Likewise, a local left-wing district attorney in Atlanta is after me for an absolutely perfect phone call, I think even more perfect than the one I made in Ukraine, if that's possible, that was made about election integrity. You know, if you call today about election integrity, call up the Secretary of State about election integrity, they say, oh, that's such a terrible thing. No, it's called free speech. And despite the fact that Atlanta, on a per capita basis, has more murders and crimes than any other city in the country, including Chicago. Nobody knows that. And yet they're looking at a phone call that I made, which was absolutely perfect, about election integrity. That's what they're spending their money and their time on. And nobody is being taken care of. And Atlanta is a crime city like just about no other city in the world. It has gone strictly third world, Atlanta has. All of these local Democrat-run cases are being directed by Washington. I have no doubt about it. We have a weaponized Department of Justice and FBI on everything, including, of course, the break-in of my home in the so-called documents. We call it the document hoax case because we have to come up, just like impeachment hoax number 1, impeachment hoax number 2, we have to, the document hoax case. Or we could call it the warehouse case because many other presidents stored their millions of pages of stuff in unsecured warehouses, some of them without front doors that worked properly. Just look at how every other president has been treated when they left office. They've been treated beautifully. All they need to do is leave office and they get treated beautifully. They've been given the time needed and complete deference when it came to their documents and to their papers. There was no criminality. There was no, oh, we're going to get him, we're going to get him. And the people are the same people that have been working on this for 6 years. Barack Hussein Obama moved more than 20 truckloads, over 33 million pages of documents, both classified and unclassified, to a poorly built and totally unsafe former furniture store located in a rather bad neighborhood in Chicago. You know about that, right? They just found that out. What do you think of that, Carrie? It's a little double standard, perhaps. George W. Bush, or Rhino, but that's okay, stored 68 million pages in a warehouse in Texas. Think of that. And, oh, excuse me, he lost 22 million White House emails covering the Iraq invasion, which was one of the dumbest things that this country has ever done. One of the dumbest things. What did we get out of it other than death and a loss of massive numbers of great, great young people? What did we get out of it? And we really obliterated a big part of the world. We got nothing out of it. They're still looking for those 22 million pages. Bill Clinton took millions of documents from the White House to a former car dealership in Arkansas, kept classified recordings in his sock. Did you know about that? They say he left the White House with recordings in his sock, and they found them in his sock drawer. And they didn't find them. He found them, I guess. I don't know. Somebody found them, but they were in the sock drawer. And the National Archives, which is the NARA it's called, lost an entire hard drive full of information from the Clinton White House. I wonder what that information was. Bill Clinton also lost the nuclear codes. And nobody complained. Trump didn't lose the nuclear codes. I could tell you more about nuclear codes. I rebuilt our nuclear arsenal, not that I wanted to, but because we had no choice. When you see what's going on right now, and we'll end up in a war with the incompetence and the way we're handling this. We'll end up in a world war. Jimmy Carter sent the nuclear codes to his dry cleaner. You know that, right? And almost as bad. Nothing happened, though. Nobody said, oh, we're going to get him. We're going to prosecute Jimmy Carter. He sent the nuclear codes to his dry cleaner. And they never got him back. They're still looking for him, but they're looking. You know, how many years ago was that? And almost as bad, Hillary deleted 33,000 emails under congressional subpoena, acid washed them, and then pounded her telephones with hammers, making them unrecognizable to the human eye. Meanwhile, thank you. Meanwhile, George H.W. Bush took millions and millions of documents to a former bowling alley pieced together with what was then a old and broken Chinese restaurant. They put them together. And it had a broken front door and broken windows. Other than that, it was quite secure, and there was no security. And they didn't have these great Secret Service people who are great, by the way. They're great. They don't get enough credit. They don't get enough credit. They don't get enough credit. By contrast, I had a small number of boxes in storage at Mar-a-Lago, guarded by Secret Service and my people and everybody. I mean, it's safe. When you look at these other people, what they did, and the FBI raided my home and violated my Fourth Amendment rights and many other rights. And under the Sox decision, this is a very important decision that was made. They call it the Sox decision because, again, it had to do with Bill Clinton and his socks. There is no crime. You know, there is no crime. It's not a crime. And they should give me immediately back everything that they've taken from me because it's mine. It's mine. They took it from me in the raid. They broke into my house. But you know, the good news is everyone saw it. Would you believe my poll numbers went up? We have the best poll numbers I've ever had. I don't know. I think I'm the only one where the FBI breaks into your house, probably illegally, in my opinion, illegally, and your poll numbers go up. That doesn't happen to too many people, Blake. Likewise, under the Presidential Record Act, everything should come back. All should come back. And under the Presidential Record Act, there is no crime. You sit, you negotiate, you talk. In many cases, you talk for a long period of time. That's what we were doing. The National Archives put a trigger warning on the Constitution of the United States. Did you know that? And the Bill of Rights and other great documents that we have in our country, founding documents, considering them to be dangerous. They consider the Constitution to be dangerous. These are radical left lunatics, and they lose documents. They plant documents. Let's see, is there a book on nuclear destruction or the building of a nuclear weapon cheaply? Let's put that book in with Trump. No, they plant documents. I mean, they have a terrible reputation. Look at the kind of things. This is just a small part, what I've read. And who would want to be with them? We're safer in that Chinese restaurant that we just mentioned, to be honest. When will they investigate and prosecute Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, George Bush, and look into what took place with George Bush's father and the warehouse of documents had by Barack Hussein Obama? And I don't think they'll do it. And you know what? I don't think they should do it. I don't think they should do it. But the radical left thinks by doing all of these sinister and venomous things, they're making us weaker, but actually they're making us stronger and much more unified than we've ever been before. We now have a two-tiered system of justice, and it's got to stop because the people of our country are angry. The people of our country are very unhappy with what's going on. In fact, the people of our country are very sad. They don't like to see this. What they want to do is make America great again and to put America first. That's what they want to do. It's very simple. And they want this radical left charade that goes on endlessly for years to stop. Many powerful, influential people tell me you must sue the government and the prosecutors for prosecutorial misconduct and, frankly, for violating your own civil rights and liberties. And it's, a lot of truth to that. Who the hell lives like this? They've been doing this to me for years. Ever since I came down the golden escalator in Trump Tower, no other president has ever been treated like this. And I'm not complaining because, you know what? I'm doing a great job for the people of our country, and that's what it's all about. Got to bring our country back. But now they're leaking that they may actually be charging Hunter Biden. Remember where's Hunter? Where's Hunter? $500,000 a painting. Great artists come into the White House because they're supposed to be painting my picture for the White House. These are great, talented people. There's a list of like 30 that are acceptable, and you ask them, how much for a picture? I like to negotiate, right? I don't even know who pays. I think the government pays. I'll pay. But how much? And it's very little money, actually. And then you hear Hunter Biden gets $500,000 to take a can of paint and throw it against a piece of canvas, but not do it himself. His other people do it, I imagine. But they may actually be charging Hunter Biden with very minor charges relative to crimes committed, and that's really up to them. But are they actually doing this charade to continue targeting me and our movement? It sounds to me like they're doing it so they can say, well, we're treating everyone fairly. No, they're not. They're not treating us fairly. And they have to be very careful because it can come around, It can come around and snip them. They have to be very, very careful what they're doing. They're playing a game that's never been played to this extent in our country. They're coming after me because I fight for you. And I fight for America, and because we are leading big in every single poll and winning all across our country, both against Republicans and against Democrats. We're leading against everybody. Thank you. Thank you. We're leading by numbers that nobody's ever seen before. That includes Republicans. We got some Republicans that say, we want to run. You let them run. Who the hell cares? We're leading by so much. And it's incredible. With all of this, what they're trying to do is take us out so that we can't represent you if we decide to do that. But we'll be making a decision very soon. I think everyone's going to be happy. I really do. The radical left is no longer about socialism. It's about communism. We've skipped over socialism, I think, and that's where our country is headed. And I predicted this would happen a long time ago when I felt it. I felt it in my blood. I just felt it in my bones and blood that we are in for a period of time because we have people that truly, either they hate our country, they are competent. Look, they are competent. We can't say they're dummies, but they are sick. Shifty Schiff, Shifty Adam Schiff. Shifty Adam Schiff. I tell this story every once in a while. I have a son who's a very good young man. He's been through hell with all these investigations. He thought he was going to just help the country. Don Jr. Does anyone know Don Jr.? So it's now come out that the dossier was a total put-up fake job done by the Democrats and Hillary, right, DNC, in conjunction with Russia. So it's now fake. In fact, the Times admitted it. The Washington Post admitted it. Even stupid CNN, nobody watches them anymore because they have no ratings. But a lot of great guys are being thrown off of CNN. I love watching. But everybody now says it was a fake. And Adam Schiff was in on it. But I see Adam Schiff a few years ago come out to the microphone just like this. Now think of this. He helped devise a fake scheme. So he has a fake scheme, and he comes out to the microphone, and he knows it's a lie, and he said, I have just witnessed horrible, horrible events in a horrible document, and I believe Donald Trump Jr. will be serving time in prison in the very near future. Now think of this. How bad are you when you tell somebody, anybody, I don't care, president or not president, somebody's son is going to go to jail, and you know it's a hoax. You know it's fake. Uncle Sam, do you agree with that? Now think of it. You know it's a hoax, and he's saying that my son is going to jail on something. These are bad people. These are sick degenerates. If the Democrats win, the communists win, and soon they will send their thugs, their criminals, their angry left-wing prosecutors, and their 87,000 new IRS agents who are allowed to carry guns. You know that, right? After you. And it's interesting because, you know, they're fighting against our Second Amendment. No guns, nobody can have guns. And yet 87,000 IRS agents are allowed to have guns. Explain that one. If Republicans win, the communists lose, the globalists lose, the deep state bureaucrats lose, the Silicon Valley censors lose. The corrupt fake news media bosses lose, and the rhinos lose. But America wins and wins big, and that's the only thing that will matter. The only thing that will matter. This election is your chance to send a strong message to all of the arrogant left-wing radicals who want to dictate what you can say and what you can think and how you are supposed to lead your lives with your families. With your vote, you can humiliate Joe Biden, not that he hasn't been humiliated enough, the media, and the corrupt Democrat machine, and you can declare that America will always remain a free and fair country. You can take the 5 worst presidents in American history and put them together, and they would not have done the damage Joe Biden has done to our nation in less than 2 short years. Think of it. Look at what's happened. We're like a totally different country than we were 2 years ago. 2 years ago, we were respected by the world. Today, we're a joke. When Biden hears me speak, he knows he can't fight back in any other way than to try and get me through the prosecutors or some weird act. Except I'm innocent. It's always good to be innocent, right? Because if I wasn't, I would have been out of here years ago. It's been going on for years. In fact, my son, I said the other night, I have a wonderful son, Eric. I think he's received more subpoenas from the United States Congress than any human being in the history of the world. He's a great guy. He wants to just do his job. And every day, every week, every month, he gets hit with a subpoena from Schiff and from Nancy Pelosi, who's crooked as hell. Look at her stocks. I mean, she did better than Warren Buffett. I don't know about her husband. I don't know who the hell's running that deal. But how? And now she doesn't want to change it where they're allowed to get inside information. Joe Biden can't speak clearly. He can't think clearly. So he tells law enforcement, you got to do something about this guy, Trump. He's killing me. Take a look at this. You'll see. Just take a look. You're not even going to believe it.
How would you say your mental focus is?
Oh, it's focused. I haven't. Look.
Let's get ready to bumble!
I think it's a right for people to have bad health care. True international average of pressure.
God, oh my Lord, I can't believe I said that. America is a nation that can be defined in a single word.
Y'all ready for this?
I was going to
And Corn Pop was a bad dude, and he ran a bunch of bad boys.
Wait.
All men and women created by go. You know the thing.
If it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to Anyway. We went for two reasons. One, to come on, man. The guy who runs that outfit over there. I've had a couple Washington, but the nature, not Representative Jackie. Are you here? Where's Jackie? I didn't think she was going to be here. What am I doing here? Tucker. Yeah.
I got hairy legs that turn, that.
Thank you for tolerance, for listening to me. I appreciate it very much. What?
So, during the course of 4 great years, despite all of these witch hunts, we did so much. But one of the things that I got to learn a lot about were the leadership of other countries, President Xi, all of the different leaders, Putin, all of them. And you go one by one, step by step. Macron of France, can name every single one of them. I got mostly friendly with them. Some of them didn't like me because I stopped them from taking advantage of our country, which almost all of them were doing. So they wouldn't like me. I know in Germany they said, we like Obama better. They should. They robbed us blind. They should. But one thing we learned is they're all at the top of their game mentally. They're at the top of their game. President Xi of China, there's nobody in Hollywood that could imitate him, that could play the role of President Xi. There's no actor. These are smart, tough, brilliant people in most cases, but they're all at the top of their game, and the fake news media doesn't like when I use the word brilliant. How can you say that about President Xi? Well, he's the head of 1.5 billion people, Carrie. I'd say he's a pretty smart guy, wouldn't you say? And by the way, he has no drug problem. You know that, right? You know why? Quick trial, because they give the death penalty to people that are selling drugs. But I got to meet, and they're dealing with this gentleman, and they don't know what the hell is going on. Under my leadership, we had, for the first time, American energy independence and even energy dominance. We were going to be bigger than, think of it, Russia and Saudi Arabia combined in a very short period of time. We would be right now supplying oil to Europe. You wouldn't have a war. Number one, the war was never going to happen anyway with me there, but just the oil, we would have been down at $40, $35, maybe $30 a barrel. You were at $1.80. In fact, I had it down for a little while to $1.50. We had to get it a little up. We had to let the oil companies survive. But you were down to $1.87 a gallon, and now you're way over $5. Think of it, way, way over. And that's with the artificial stimulus of the strategic reserve, which is going away one day after the election's over. So I just say that these people are at the top of their game, and we have a person and people that aren't. Now, he's surrounded by vicious, smart people. Don't underestimate. I don't even believe that he's the one necessarily that's causing these problems. He is surrounded by vicious, very smart people with a different ideology than the people in this office, than the people in your great state. And we're going to have to be very smart and very strong, because that's not what's doing it. People are pulling strings, and it's very sad to watch. Nobody thought this could happen in our country, and it all happened because of a rigged and stolen election. Now Biden is begging and pleading with OPEC, but instead of increasing production, they're cutting it. Did you see the other day? They cut. That's going to drive gasoline prices up much higher, and your electric and everything else. We gave you the largest tax cuts and regulation cuts in American history. On the other hand, the radical Democrat Congress has passed one of the largest tax hikes in American history, but they were still unable to pass any legislation which affected our tax cuts because they couldn't do it. They couldn't get it through. They would have. But it still remains the Trump tax cuts. They have not been able to do anything about it. Under the Trump administration, we had the greatest economy in the history of the world with no inflation. Biden and the Democrat Congress created the worst inflation in over 50 years. We're right now at 9.1%, and it's going to go a lot higher. And the worst 2 years of a presidency in history. I rebuilt our military, including our nuclear capability and the creation of Space Force, first time that's been done in 78 years. You heard of a thing called Air Force, not since Air Force. And Space Force turned out to be very, very important indeed. We're now leading in space because of what we did with Space Force. And China and Russia owned space until I came along, and now we're leading in space, and that's going to end up being one of the most important of all. They surrendered our strength and our dignity and turned Afghanistan into the single greatest humiliation our country has ever had. I believe that the way we got out, not of getting out, I was getting out too. I would have done it on a similar schedule, but with strength and with what you have to get, the way you leave properly, with respect. And now we have a war between Russia and Ukraine with potentially hundreds of thousands of people dying. We must demand immediate negotiation of a peaceful end to the war in Ukraine, or we will end up in World War III, and there will never be a war like this. We will never have had a war like this, and that's all because of stupid people that don't have a clue. And it's also because of the kind of weaponry that's available today. We never had weapons like this, the destructive capability of weapons, modern weapons. I know more about it than anybody because of the fact that I rebuilt our military. You could just look at Russia and say, see, when you talk about going to war, it's not as easy as people think. It's just not as easy. Who would have thought that would have happened? But remember, he's still got a second layer, and it's a very powerful layer. And we have to be very smart and very nimble. We have to know what to say, what to do. And we are saying exactly the wrong thing. We'll end up in a World War III. And, you know, I see they have hats and signs all over the place. Trump was right about everything. I think I've been right about just about everything, actually. And I hope I'm not right about that. And I'm not saying it's going to happen because I wouldn't want to say that. But I will tell you, it's a real possibility. And 2 years ago, it wasn't even thought of. I withdrew from the disastrous Iran nuclear deal and imposed the toughest ever sanctions on that regime. They were ready to make a deal. They would have had a deal within 1 week of re-entering office. They were dying to make a deal, and now they've become strong again. China's now buying oil. They're all buying oil from Iran. China didn't buy oil. I told President Xi, don't buy oil. You buy oil. We're not going to do any business with China, and he didn't buy any oil. As we speak, the people of Iran are bravely protesting against their corrupt and brutal regime, courageously facing down violence, persecution, jail, torture, and even death. And we are with you all. I want you to know that on behalf of everybody here and everybody, period, we are with them. 2 years ago, we had the strongest border in the history of our country. And now we have exactly the opposite. In August, illegal border crossings in Arizona were up 471% from the end of my regime, from the end of my great group of patriots, a number of whom are here with us today. But there's up, think of that, almost 500%, and I think that's a much lower number than it actually is. Under my leadership, we ended catch and release. We cracked down on fraudulent asylum seekers. And we deported illegal alien gang members by the tens of thousands. We got rid of ISIS. And by the way, we defeated ISIS in the Middle East. Nobody wants to talk about that. We defeated ISIS. We defeated al-Baghdadi, didn't we? Remember Conan the dog? He got more credit than I did for defeating ISIS. Conan. And he deserves it. He was a brave dog. We built hundreds of miles of border wall despite 2.5 years of Democrat-inspired lawsuits to stop it. but I won all of them, over 11 lawsuits. We completely finished our original wall plan. Then we added much more wall and almost got that finished too. Would have been done in 3 weeks. That's all it would have taken. And they didn't want to do the job. They didn't want. That's when I said there's something wrong here. Something is wrong. In short, the election took place. It was a disaster for our country, and we are suffering the results of that election. I ran twice. I won twice. And I did much better the second time than I did the first, getting millions more votes in 2020 than we got in 2016. We got many more. We got many more votes in the last election, many. And we got more votes than any sitting president in the history of our country by far. You know, we got millions and millions more votes than any sitting president in history. And now we may just have to do it again. So stay tuned, because we're not going to let our country die. We're not letting our country die. But we did much better in 2020. You know, the New York Times came and they were talking to me. What was the difference between 2016 and 2020? I said, well, the difference was that we did much better in 2020. Oh, you did? Really? They didn't understand that. No, we got millions more votes, like 12 million or something. What was it, Mr. Wall? Stand up, Mr. Wall. Does any Irving Wall? I love that jacket. I'm going to wear that jacket someday. The only difference is we didn't use brick. We used steel because it's stronger. And you can see through. We needed see-through. We listened to the Border Patrol. But first, we have to win a historic victory for the Republican Party this November. Job number one for Republican Congress is to stop the invasion, and that's what it is. It's like a military invasion. In many ways, it's worse, because with military, you can stop them with force. These people are coming through totally unencumbered, but we have to stop the invasion on our southern border. In August, an illegal alien criminal was sentenced for walking into a convenience store right here in Mesa, taking out his gun, killing 21-year-old clerk, a wonderful young man, because he wanted a pack of cigarettes. In New Mexico, an illegal alien criminal out of jail on unsecured bond was charged with decapitating a man, mutilating his body, and kicking his head around a field as though it were a soccer ball. It was a soccer ball in a public park. He was playing with his head as though it were a soccer ball. And in June, an illegal alien brutally assaulted 2 brave Border Patrol agents near Tucson and tried to strangle one of them to death. Very, very closely came to succeeding. We're honored to be joined today by the president of the National Border Patrol Council, a great gentleman, a tough man. He was with me from the beginning. I'm not even sure he was allowed to be, but he was, because he knows what we need in this country is border safety and border security. His name is Brandon Judd. Brandon, where is Brandon? Where's Brandon? I love this guy. Come here, Brandon, just fast. Come on, Brandon. We're not here for Brandon, but get up here. Come on. And we have another great guy. He's always been so helpful, along with all of Brandon's people. Tom Homan. Have you ever seen his central casting? Where's Tom? I love Tom Homan. What a job. You put these guys in charge, you'll have it solved very quickly. Say a few words. Hello.
What can we say about Donald Trump that hasn't already been said? Best president in our history. 45-year lows. Illegal immigration was dropped to 45-year lows. We were able to go after the criminal cartels. We were able to drop the drugs that were coming into the United States under this president, more than we ever had. Republican, Democrat, it didn't matter. This president did more in our lifetime to save your children, your grandchildren, than anybody else. And yet he's constantly, they go after him. Those people back there go after him constantly. Yeah, exactly. Look, we got some great people. Please stand up. All my guys back there. Art Del Cueto right there. And let me tell you, the president is here campaigning. The president is here campaigning for some great people. Carrie Lake, got to win. Have to win. She's got to. Yeah, exactly. Blake Masters, he has to win. Abe has to win. And Mark has to win. But more importantly, we need this guy to run. 2024 will be the greatest year in politics ever. President, thank you very much.
Wow. Am I glad I asked him to come up? That was very good. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you to all the folks that are with you. Thank you very much. Great job you do. They do such a great job, and that includes ICE. ICE is so incredible. They're tough. They're great, great people. ICE also, and law enforcement, period. If we're going to make America great again, we have to make America safe again. It's very simple. Brandon understands that. Tom Homan understands that. Under the radical left Democrats, our country has become a cesspool of crime. Much of the crime wave is caused by drug dealers who, during the course of their lives, will kill an average of 500 American citizens. One person will kill, on average, during his or her lifetime, 500 people. So I'm calling for the death penalty for drug dealers and human traffickers, which will, upon its passage, reduce drug distribution and crime by more than 75%. If it's meaningful, if it's a meaningful bill, 75% down in one day, it'll end. I tell the story about my meeting with President Xi, and I said to him, "Do you have a drug problem?" And he looked at me like, what the hell is he talking about? Of course not. He said, "No, we have no drug problem. 1.5 billion, they don't have a drug problem." I said, what do you think? You don't have it. And he talked about, as I said, he talked about the fact that they have quick trials. They have quick trials. And he said drug dealers, if they want to sell drugs, it's okay, but they're not selling them in China, and they're not selling them in Singapore, and they're not selling them in certain other countries where they have no drug problem whatsoever. So we have to consider that. I don't know. I haven't asked Brandon and Homan and all these people, but I assume you're probably okay with that, right? You know, he's a very soft guy. I'm not sure he may. I think you're probably okay. You want to stop the problem. You know, we have blue ribbon committees. We put blue ribbon committees out there, Brandon, right? Local dilettantes, local socialites. And we have the Blue Ribbon Committee to stop drug distribution in the United States. And they just want to get a little publicity for themselves. They don't do anything. We need the death penalty if you want to have a meaningful, right? So we'll do that. I think you'll do that. Well, Sheriff Joe, I hear, is here today. Somebody said. Well, isn't Sheriff Joe? Where is Sheriff Joe? Look at Sheriff Joe. Oh, look at, whoa. This guy, you know, Sheriff Joe, he knew borders better than anybody in the history of our country. He looks at what's happened to your state, to Arizona, with guys like Kelly that don't have a clue. They're weak and incompetent. And Joe, who's tough as hell, sometimes too tough, but we'll forgive you for that, Joe. I mean, the pink underwear was a little bit rough, the pink text. That's okay. We've heard of worse than that. We've heard of worse than that. But we had no border problem, Joe, did we, huh? No, we had no border problem. Today, those same people just pouring in at levels nobody's ever seen. But I want to thank you, Joe, because you suffered greatly. That was very unfair what they did to you. You know, I had the privilege of giving Joe a pardon, a complete and total pardon. That means, if you know what the power is, and if you know what that means that Sheriff Joe Arpaio is the cleanest one here with all these politicians. He's cleaner than any of them. He's even cleaner than Kerry. I hate to say Kerry. He's that cleanest guy you can have. So, Joe, thank you very much. Great job. Great job. Really, we appreciate it. You look fantastic. I got to know him. I got to know his incredible late wife who kept him in check. She kept you in check, right, Joe? But she was great. The first step to restoring public safety is defeating the radical Democrats this November, and that starts with throwing out your extremist senator, but a weak man, Mark Kelly. Mark Kelly claims he's tried his best to secure the border, but in fact, for the past 2 years, Mark Kelly has been deciding, and he's been that deciding 50th vote to rubber stamp every Biden, Pelosi, Schumer bill, and they ram him right through Congress. He never fights anything, and he doesn't fight to get safety for your border. It's not like he's fighting on the positive. He could do that, I guess. Kelly could have stopped the border nightmare with a snap of his fingers, but he didn't want to get involved. Kelly voted against money for border agents. Did you hear that, Brandon? I don't think he's got your vote, right? He voted against money for you people. That's not good. And yet he voted for 87,000 of those IRS agents carrying guns. He voted no on the border wall. He voted against my Remain in Mexico. How good was that? I said to the president of Mexico, no. You have to do two things. We need 28,000 Mexican soldiers while I'm building the wall. No, we're not doing that. I said, yes, you are. And then you also need one other thing. Remain in Mexico, because they remain in the United States and then they never leave, right? So we built a very strong military force, but he said no. And I get along with him great. I really like him. He is a socialist, by the way, but that's okay. You know, they're a nice socialist. I really do like him, the president of Mexico. He's a great guy. But he said, no, we're not giving you 28,000 soldiers. I said, yes, you are, and you have to give us 28,000 soldiers. We need them because people are pouring through your country and coming into our country. You can't do that. And remain in Mexico. We want them to stay in your country so that we can check them out, and on occasion, somebody will be approved. Otherwise, they have to go back to the country from which they came, especially with criminal records. And we sent hundreds of thousands back. And it was going good, really good. But he said, I won't do it. I said, well, if you're not doing it, I'm going to sign right on my desk right now. I have a signed tariff agreement that charges Mexico 25% for every car and every product it makes coming into the United States, which would have amounted to billions and billions of dollars a year, Blake. And he said, on the other hand, I would love to supply you with 28,000 soldiers. And I feel extremely good about letting these criminals remain in Mexico. We would love to have all of these MS-13 gang members remain in Mexico. You just ask Tijuana. Ask the mayor of Tijuana, was he happy with Trump? I don't think he's going to like me too much. But he voted yes on deadly sanctions. That's Kelly. Deadly. And sanctuary cities are all over the place. He's always voting for sanctuary. That's basically where you're supporting, I would say, Brandon, that's basically where you're supporting and sheltering criminals for the most part. There's nothing good about sanctuary cities. Kelly voted for every inflation-causing socialist spending bill. He voted to raise your taxes by $326 billion. He voted against the Keystone XL pipeline, which I approved in my first day. It was started, and then Biden knocked it out. Nobody knows why. He doesn't know why either. He was told to do it. He voted to drain the Strategic National Petroleum Reserve. He co-sponsored a nationwide ban on voter ID. Why doesn't he want voter ID? We'd like to see, when you had the Democrat National Convention in Milwaukee, in order to get in, you had a card bigger than a large man's chest. Picture, fingerprints, your social security, everything. It was the biggest identification. It was voter ID. You couldn't get into the Democrat National Convention unless you wore this monster. It was almost like a vest. It kept you warm. It was so big. And yet they don't want voter ID. Now, they don't want voter ID, Kerry, for one very simple reason, because they want to cheat. That's the only reason. There's no other reason. He voted to push critical race theory on pre-K and elementary students, and he voted for extreme late-term abortion in the 40th week or beyond. Think of this. Like the wacko governor of Virginia recently, the last Democrat governor, where he said that you can have abortion at any time, even beyond the 9th month. Think of that. So you can have abortion during and beyond the 9th month. And he said what you'll do is you'll sit down with your doctor and decide, and in some cases the baby will be born, and then you essentially will execute the baby. This is what their plan is. Now, I happen to believe that we have The states do that. I tell you, if you look at Ginsburg, if you look at many others, but I also believe strongly in the three exceptions, like Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan believed in the exceptions, and I believe in the three exceptions, and I think it's very important. But they are the ones radical in Bush because they're bringing it up to essentially beyond the 9th month, and you can't do that. Rape, incest, the life of the mother, those three exceptions. And you have the 15 weeks, some people say the 16 weeks, and you bring it back into the states, and this is where it should have been. Even great Democrat jurists felt it has to be with the states. So that'll work out. But the radicals are really, and somebody had to explain it. I said, maybe I'll do it today. The radicals are them because they'll kill the baby in the 9th month or beyond. And we can't let that happen. No country in the world lets that happen. There's not a country in the world. So Arizona, and they use that just as a fake excuse because they're going to lose big on crime. They're going to lose big on the economy. They're losing on almost everything. They lose on the military. Law enforcement hates them. They want to defund your police. So they have nothing going. So they thought maybe when the Supreme Court voted this way, they could use that as an issue. But it turns out really, when you know about the real issue, it's very bad. So I've done the best I can to explain it. But I really believe that it's something that, and many people do, you bring it back to the states. I happen to like the exceptions. Other people disagree with that. But it all gets worked out. And what really I think you're going to vote for this time is crime and the economy and inflation and all of the horrible things that are happening to our country because our country has never been so low. In Arizona, you need to vote this extreme radical leftist Mark Kelly out of office. Earlier this week, Blake Masters, I got to see it a little later. I got to watch it last night. Who the hell was the third guy? Some guy kept interrupting. That's all right. I don't want to hurt him because he actually sort of liked Trump, so let me take that back, please. I'll take it back, okay? Seemed like a nice man. But it was a little disconcerting. But I got to watch the debate, and Blake Masters absolutely annihilated Mark Kelly in their debate. Blake has had a tremendously successful career in a very complicated business of technology. He's a brilliant mind and a very brave heart and a patriot, and he's exactly the kind of new blood we need in the United States Senate. We need new blood. We need strong blood. We got to get rid of some of these rhinos, get them the hell out. Many times the rhinos are worse than the Democrats because you don't know where they're coming from, but we figured it out. Blake will make it his mission to restore the sovereign borders of Arizona and to protect the job, safety, and well-being of the people of your state. Right, Blake? I think that's something so important to Blake. I've spent a lot of time with Blake, and he is really a patriot, and he's a very smart guy. He's a tireless champion for free speech, election integrity, and for putting America first. So I would like to have Blake Masters come up just for a minute and say hello. He's already spoken, but say hello. And I hope you get out and vote for Blake. He's going to be great. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. How much do we miss this guy? I mean, my gosh, really? Do you ever just stop to think, how much better were we off just 2 or 3 years ago? We had a secure border. Crime was under control. You could actually afford to live. Prices were pretty low. Gas was $2. It was good. Let me tell you what, that doesn't happen by accident. That happened because of President Trump and his America First policies. It is that simple. And then what happened? Joe Biden happened. Mark Kelly happened. Just 22 months later, everything's on fire. Our southern border is a disaster. Crime keeps going up. The cost of groceries, actually the cost of every single thing you need to live, keeps going up and up and up. But you know what? We the people are waking up. We saw what successful leadership looks like. Looks a lot like President Trump. And now we see every day what failed Democrat leadership looks like. And so the choice is clear. President Trump saved this country once. I can't wait to see him do it again. What do you think? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Blake. That was great. You're going to win, Blake. You're going to win. You know, we talk about conservative. It's really common sense. What we need is common sense more than anything else. Blake, you're going to do great. This election day, you also have the chance to elect an America First all-star, a friend of mine. She's unbelievable as your governor. Her name is Kari Lake. Arizona could not ask. Oh, you're so lucky. I see some of the people running in other places. I say, boy, is Arizona lucky. You're so lucky. But Arizona could not ask for a governor with more energy, passion, toughness, brilliance, and determination to secure your borders and stop violent crime and keep the radical Marxists away from your kids and restore election integrity. She's so strong on election, she knows what happened, and bring jobs and the opportunity. We want opportunity back for your state. Your state is taking a hit. Your gasoline prices are second right now. Think of it, second to California. You're going way over $5, and you're going to go up to $7, $8, $9, and I've been predicting it's happening. Kari will get up every single day. She will fight the media. She will fight and stand up to the Biden administration, and she will truly deliver for Arizona. When Kari wins this November, the media's heads will absolutely explode. So that in itself will be interesting to watch. That will be interesting to watch. Now, Kari's running against a hardcore leftist with absolutely no talent, with no personality, with no charisma, with no leadership ability. Her name is Katie Hobbs. She's a disaster. She's an open borders fanatic who denies there's even a small problem at the border. She was on the other day, I don't think we have a problem at the border. In other words, you have no choice. You have to get her out. She tried to defund the border strike force. She hates people like Brandon. She hates people like you, Brandon. I can't. That means I don't like her right there. She doesn't like Border Patrol. She doesn't like ICE. She doesn't like law enforcement. She supported Biden's repeal of my Title 42 protections. That's where, if you're not feeling too great, you don't come into our country. We did that during the China virus. I want to be accurate in my description of what it was. She opposes the wall. She voted to preserve sanctuary cities at a level that nobody fought harder than her for these sanctuary cities. And they're killing your state, killing our country. Katie Hobbs is proudly endorsed by 3 different defund the police groups. You know that? All the police officers. I got to take pictures with them out there. These are great people, strong. I had some of their hands. I got fingers like this, like that. I said, don't squeeze too tight, please, okay? Hand. My hand still hasn't recovered from shaking hands with them. These are great people. And by the way, we have to give them back their respect. We have to give them back their authority. Katie Hobbs will defund the police. Kari Lake will defund the cartels. Katie Hobbs voted against a law to protect off-duty police officers, that's including ICE and Border Patrol, from assault. And she voted to start sex education in kindergarten. That's pretty young. And just this morning, she confirmed that she supports completely unrestricted abortion. In other words, 9 months and beyond. Think of it. You put the baby aside, and then you execute the baby. Take a look at Virginia. Take a look at what happened with your past Democrat governor, who was a total whack job. We call him, remember Michael Jackson? He said he imitated Michael Jackson when he put the blackface on, right? Can you imagine if I did that? I don't think I would. It wouldn't work too well. He got through it. He put blackface on, and then he wanted to try and do the moonwalk. And thank God for him, his wife stopped him. He was going to do a moonwalk to these totally crazy people. Look at all of them back there. I can't. And they're not leaving. That means we haven't been rough enough on them today. They're not leaving. That's a lot of press. Wow. I hope they're here for Blake and for Carrie. And I hope you're going to say how great they are. No, he wanted to imitate Michael Jackson by doing a moonwalk across the stage. And I was with a man named Baryshnikov once, and he said, you know, the truth, as great a dancer as he was, one of the greatest, probably the greatest ever, he said nobody could moonwalk like Michael Jackson. And this governor wanted to try and imitate Michael. That would have been a disaster. But his wife said, no, don't do it. She saved him. Last but not least, Katie Hobbs has been a disaster for election integrity. She's a crusader for rigged elections who fought the Arizona audit. She fought it every step of the way. And by the way, the real result of that audit was incredible corruption. They found tens of thousands of false votes, but the press never wanted to look at what they call the findings page, did they? Everybody get out and vote for this unbelievable star. I really believe she's going to be a big star of the country, not just the party. Carrie Lake. Carrie, please come up.
Oh, man, Arizona, you're too good to me. Do you love this guy or what? I know for a fact President Trump loves Arizona, but President Trump, I think Arizona loves you even more. I really do. Is that right? Why wouldn't we love him? Think about, let's go back in history here, just a few years. Record low inflation. Our 401ks looked great. I just talked to a neighbor who's lost a third of his retirement savings since Joe Biden took office. We were doing great. Our kids were safe because our streets were safe. He supported the police. We had great times under President Trump. And we miss you so much, President Trump. Now, I got to tell you, I have some of these know-nothing consultants who tell me, you know, you really need to back away from President Trump right now. And I say to them, put down Hunter's crack pipe right now. Wouldn't it be horrible? Wouldn't it be horrible? What would it say about my character if I stepped away from my friends? If I step away from my friends, that means I would step away from you, and I will never step away from the people of Arizona. And so for those know-nothing consultants and the media, I want to show you what it looks like when I step away from President Trump.
Thank you, Carrie. Also with us tonight, thank you, Carrie. We love you. Special person, by the way. Get out, you got to vote these two. And now you're going to hear some other names that are incredible. But with us tonight is your next Attorney General, Abe Hamadeh, and he's great. He's great. He knows what to do, and he's going to get it all done. And a man who's extremely non-controversial. And you know the truth, he loves your state, he loves the country, he loves you. He's not, to me, there's no controversy at all. He's running for Secretary of State, he's leading everybody. Everybody loves him because he's a warrior. Mark Fincham. Mark? Great, Mark. I hear you're doing incredible, right? I hear you're doing great. So bring it home, Mark. Very little time left. But you're leading in every poll, and that's good, but you're a warrior. And Abe, you're a warrior, so go get him. Thank you. A woman that I've also fallen in love with over a period of time. She's an incredible representative, and she will fight. She was involved with impeachment hoax number 1, impeachment hoax number 2. And I think nobody was tougher or smarter or better than Debbie Lesko. Congresswoman, our great Congresswoman. Thank you. Thank you very much, Debbie. Great job you do. Another one, I could say the same thing, I think, here, Debbie, because this guy is special and he's my friend and he's tough and he loves the people in this audience and he loves both sides. He loves everybody. He wants the people of your state to be successful. He wants our country to be successful, and he's tough as hell. Andy Biggs. Andy, thank you. Thank you, Andy. I like that hat. And a friend of Andy and Debbie and a friend of mine and somebody that fights about as hard as anybody can fight, Congressman Paul Gosar. Congressman. Great job, Paul. And a woman who's extremely low-key, very shy, very quiet. I wish she had a little more oomph. But actually, nobody has more oomph than Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie. Thank you, Marjorie. Thank you, Marjorie. Great. And two people that are running for Congress that I think will win based on everything I'm seeing, Eli Crane and Kelly Cooper. And Eli, I've already endorsed. Eli, I've already endorsed, and you're knocking him dead. And I just want to let you know you're getting the letter within the next 24 hours. Kelly has my complete and total endorsement, okay? So I'll give it to you a little early. This is better than a letter anyway, right? You know, you have our total endorsement. You're doing a great job, but we appreciate it. So those two will add to the great Congress people that you have in this state. You have great ones in this state, especially Andy. Do you agree with me, right? I think any bad ones, Andy? Yeah, they're Democrats, he says. He said a couple of Democrats. Anyway, keep up the good work, everybody. Thanks. Thanks, Debbie. A woman who's as strong as they come and as smart as they come and fought for election integrity, which you didn't have a lot in your state. But she fought, and she has really proven the point, and it continues. Wendy Rogers. Wendy. Great job, Wendy. Great job. And a friend of mine, and as somebody that is very unsung, because this man really, he's another warrior, and he's out there all the time, and he just works. He doesn't want to do anything but work. He just wants to get the job done. Sonny Borelli. Sonny. Thank you, Sonny. Thank you, Sonny. State Senate candidates Anthony Kern, Robert Scantlebury, David Farnsworth. Oh, David. Oh, what a good deal, David. And Janae Sham. David, you beat a certain man that was a super rhino, didn't you? You were the man that beat him. I endorsed David. You beat him by what? Was it 65 to 35? Wow, that was a big win. I was very proud. That was good. That's one you can put in your mantle. And in retrospect for him, look at him. He's central casting. It wasn't even hard. He's probably saying, that wasn't so hard. But the people they don't want the rhinos anymore. They don't want them. And he was not good. Congratulations. Congratulations. That's a great race. The Republican Party chair. Where's Shelley Case? Shelley. Hi, Shelley. Great job. Thank you for all the help. We won it twice, and we did better the second time, Shelley. Ambassador Rick Grinnell, a fighter. Rick Grinnell. He's a great, great man, a great fighter, and he's got a lot of future. Another one with a lot of future, and a man who just doesn't stop. And he's got a #1 best-selling book out. Cash Patel. Where's Cash? Thank you, Cash. And I introduced Joe Arpaio, but I'll introduce him again because there's nobody, I'm telling you, oh boy, if we had him at the border, we wouldn't even be up here talking. I'd also like to, while we can, please, Sheriff Mark Lamb. Sheriff? Where is Sheriff? Thank you. Sheriff, thank you very much. Thank you, Sheriff. Central Casting. And another man, he's the single greatest purchaser of ads in the history of our country, Mike Lindell. There must be a lot of money in pillows, because I've never seen anybody that could buy ads like that. But he is a patriot. And I think Mike follows this tour. You know, he thinks it's the greatest show. Mike follows the tour. Mike is a great guy, and he loves our country, and he is a patriot. And he spends a lot of time trying to help us as a country. And, you know, he was attacked 2 weeks ago. The FBI attacked him and took away his phone. And that was a pretty vicious attack, I think, right? So can't let that happen. We're also joined by two very special guests, the parents of an incredibly kind and brave young woman, a beautiful, unbelievable person who came from Arizona. And you know who we're talking about? Kayla Mueller. Kayla was a person who, after volunteering to provide humanitarian aid in Syria, she wanted to help people. It didn't have to be in Arizona. It didn't have to be in our country. Kayla wanted to help people. But she was kidnapped by ISIS and held captive directly by the ISIS leader, al-Baghdadi, who, as you remember, we gave him a bad send-off into hell. He was badly sent off. Kayla was a beautiful young woman, and al-Baghdadi spotted her, and they grabbed her, and she lived like hell. But what she's done is so incredible in so many other ways. In 2019, when you look at what took place with that attack and the attack that we did, and we named the attack and we named the number in honor of Kayla. And I'd like to just say that Carl and Marcia, her parents, are with us tonight. We started off today, and now we're tonight. And I just would like to have them stand up. And if they'd like, they could come up, because as far as I'm concerned, you are real heroes. You produce somebody who is an incredible, incredible. Come on up. Come on up for a second. Come on up. Their daughter will never be forgotten. Kayla will never be forgotten. And we will vanquish radical Islamic terrorism from the face of the earth. Please. Thank you very much.
I'm not running for office, first of all, but if you want a president that cares about you and the average American, we can tell you firsthand, this man and the people that he puts together, they care. They have treated us like no other government agency, and we'd love to see him back in office. So let's all vote Republican.
Great people, unbelievable daughter, unbelievable person. When Republicans take back Congress this November, we will fight for the people of Arizona. We will win for the people of Arizona, we promise. One of the first things we must do is stand up for parents' rights. Can you believe I'm even saying that? We're going to fight for parents' rights. Who would ever think you have to say that? We're going to fight for parents' rights. 10 years ago, if you said that, they'd say, you're crazy. What? Of course you're going to fight for parents' rights. Today, you have to make a case for it. We will get critical race theory out of our schools, out of our military, which we had it out, and out of every part of our federal, state, and local governments. And at long last, every parent in America must be empowered to opt out of the forced indoctrination in the classroom and send their child to the public, private, charter, religious, or home school of their choice. We will also, this is very politically incorrect, but I will say it anyway, we will keep men the hell out of women's sports. No teacher should ever be allowed to teach transgender to our children without parental consent. If you can believe that one, that's another one that they're talking about. We will never stop fighting for the American family, and Another one of our highest priorities under a Republican Congress will be to stop left-wing censorship and restore free speech. These people, free speech in America. So go out and sign up now for Truth Social. It's the hottest thing. You get it. It's doing a great job. And frankly, I think the engagement is much, much better than Twitter, which is being obliterated as we speak. And everywhere the Republican Party has the chance, we must pass critical election integrity reforms, including universal voter ID, citizenship confirmation, if that's okay. In other words, we'd like to know that you're a citizen. They don't want to do that. Can you imagine? They don't want to know that you're a citizen of the United States before you vote. No more fake drop boxes, no private money pouring into local election offices. 417 million came in from one person. What a crooked deal that was. And ultimately, we need same-day voting with only paper ballots. That's what we need. You'll work on that, I'll bet, right? In France, they just had an election. 36 million people voted, Carrie. They had no problem. They had a winner, they had a loser. Everybody went home at 11 o'clock, and that was the end of that. They didn't fight about it for years, and all the things that we found out you wouldn't believe. I mean, you know, most of you know. They stuffed the paper, the ballot boxes. You know, there's so many things. There were so many ways of cheating. But we're just 30 days away from the most important midterm election in American history, and we need a landslide so big that the radical left, they just can't. The radical left cannot rig or steal it. We have to make sure that the radical left does not rig or steal your election. In many ways, it's the thing I'm most worried about, because I think you have candidates that can't lose. But there's an expression that is often used, and we saw it in 2020, that the vote counter is oftentimes far more important than the candidate. We cannot let that happen. We cannot let that happen. And a very good thing would be, if you can, and I believe Blake feels this, and I believe Carrie feels this, and Abe and everyone else, but if you can, vote on Election Day in person, okay? Because it's really much harder for them to cheat. So I think if you do that, I think it'll be very much to your benefit. In fact, that happened in the primary. Kerry was losing, and we're worried. I'd say, what's going on? And then all of a sudden, an explosion happened, and you won easily, right? Because they voted on Election Day. But I hope they're going to do that again. Vote on Election Day as opposed to sending in a potentially fake ballot. Whatever you do, get out and vote. This is the year we're going to take back the House. We're going to take back the Senate. We're going to take back America. And in 2024, most importantly, we are going to take back our magnificent, our beautiful, our incredible White House. We're going to take it back. Together, we will fight for more jobs for American families, fair trade for American workers, and more American factories forging more products stamped with that beautiful phrase, made in the USA. You saw President Biden yesterday. You saw that, right? He said, I just want people to remember two words, right? I just want people to remember two words, made in America. Remember, he said this. That's what he said. I said, was he kidding? And then he said, no, he wasn't. Well, that took place yesterday. We will shut down Biden's border disaster reinstitute our strong remain in Mexico policy. Not easy to get that. How do you tell Mexico we want everybody to stay in your country, not ours? But I got it, and I got it strong. Strengthen the patriots of ICE and Border Patrol, Brandon. And we will again end catch and release. We will end chain migration. We will end the visa lottery, which is a disgrace. And we will clamp down on illegal immigration just like we did less than 2 years ago, and we had the safest border in the history of our country. We will stop the crime wave in Democrat-run cities. We will give our police the power they need and the respect they deserve. And we will not take legal protection away from our police. They want to take protection away so that the police officer can individually be sued. Can you believe this? We will restore law and order in America. A Democrat's not even allowed to use that phrase. They'll be ridden out of the party. We will hold China accountable for unleashing the virus upon the world. They will be in some form accountable. We will defend our Constitution. We will defend the Second Amendment, which is under siege. And we will proudly uphold the Judeo-Christian values and principles of our nation's founding. We will restore patriotic education to our schools, and we will teach our children to love their country, honor our history, and to always respect our great American flag. In conclusion, our MAGA movement, Make America Great Again, is by far the greatest political movement in the history of our country. Together, we are standing up against some of the most menacing forces, entrenched interests, and vicious opponents our people have ever seen. Despite great outside dangers, our biggest threat remains the sick, sinister, demented, and evil people from within our country. You saw some of them up on the screen, didn't you? But no matter how big or powerful the corrupt radical left Democrats that we are fighting against may be, you must never forget this nation does not belong to them. This nation belongs to you and you and you. This nation belongs to you. This nation belongs to you. This is your home, this is your heritage, and our American liberty is your God-given right. From Phoenix to Sedona, from Flagstaff to Florence, and from Yuma to right here in Mesa. I love Mesa. I love it. A lot of friends here, and they're loaded, I have to tell you. And they work hard, too. They work hard. We stand on the shoulders of red-blooded American patriots who poured out their heart, sweat, and soul for our country and for our freedom. This great state was settled by some of the toughest men and strongest women ever to walk the face of the earth. Arizona is where Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday became American legends. Wow. Wow, that's pretty cool. It's where the great American West became the American dream. It started here. And Arizona is the state where generations of pioneers and prospectors, miners and ranchers, cowboys and cattle hands, marshals and lawmen, we have a lot of them with us tonight, thank you, tamed the frontier, braved the blazing sun, and showed the entire world how the West was won. They gave everything they had to make America into the greatest nation in the history of the world. But now we are a nation in decline. We are a failing nation. We are a nation that has the highest inflation in 50 years, and where the stock market finished the worst first half of the year since 1872. Likewise, we are a nation that has the highest energy cost in its history. We are no longer energy independent or energy dominant, as we were just 2 short years ago. We are a nation that is begging Venezuela, Saudi Arabia, and many other nations for oil. Please, please, please help us, Joe Biden says. Yet we have more liquid gold right under our feet than any other country. We are a nation that is consumed by the radical left's Green New Deal. Yet everyone knows that the Green New Deal will lead to our destruction. We are a nation whose leaders are demanding all electric cars, even though they can't go far, cost too much, whose batteries are produced in China with materials only available in China, when an unlimited amount of gasoline is available inexpensively in the United States. But it's not available in China. We are a nation that ended oil exploration and production in the United States just as the price of oil reached an all-time high. What other country would do such a thing? We are a nation that surrendered in Afghanistan, leaving behind dead soldiers, American citizens, and $85 billion worth of the finest military equipment anywhere in the world. And we are a nation that allowed Russia to devastate a country, Ukraine, killing hundreds of thousands of people, and it will only get worse. It would have never happened with me as your commander-in-chief, never, ever, ever, and it didn't for 4 straight years. And China with Taiwan is next. We are a nation that has weaponized its law enforcement against the opposing political party like never before. We've got a Federal Bureau of Investigation that won't allow bad election-changing facts to be presented to the public, where Hunter Biden's laptop from hell was Russian disinformation when the FBI knew it wasn't, and a Department of Justice that refuses to investigate egregious acts of voting irregularities and fraud. And we have a president who is cognitively impaired and in no condition to lead our country, and is now casually talking about nuclear war with Russia, which would be World War III and far more devastating than any of the previous wars because of the weaponry that no one even wants to think about or discuss. We are a nation that no longer has a free press. Fake news is all you get, and they are truly the enemy of the people. We are a nation where free speech is no longer allowed, where crime is rampant and out of control like never before, and where more people died of COVID in 2021 than in 2020. We are a nation that is allowing Iran to build a massive nuclear weapon and China to use the trillions of dollars it has taken from us to build a military to rival our own. And just 2 years ago, we had Iran, China, Russia, and North Korea in check. They weren't going to do a thing against us, and everyone knows it. And perhaps most importantly, we are a nation that is no longer respected or listened to around the world. We are a nation that in many ways has become a joke, and we are a nation that is hostile to liberty, freedom, and faith. We are a nation whose economy is collapsing into a cesspool of ruin, whose supply chain is broken, whose stores are not stocked, whose deliveries are not coming, and whose educational system is ranked at the bottom of every single list. We are a nation where large packs of sadistic criminals and thieves are allowed to go into stores and openly rob them, beat up and kill their workers and customers, and leave with armloads of goods, but with no retribution, where the authority of our great police has been taken, where their families and pensions have been threatened, and their lives would be destroyed for the mere mention of the words law enforcement. We are a nation where fentanyl and all other forms of illegal drugs are easier to get than formula for our beautiful little babies. A nation whose once revered airports are dirty. They're a crowded mess. You sit and wait for hours and then are notified that the plane won't leave, and they have no idea when it will, where ticket prices have tripled. They don't have the pilots to fly the planes. They don't seek qualified air traffic controllers anymore, and they just don't know what the hell they're doing. We are a nation that has lost its confidence, its willpower, and its strength. We are a nation that has lost its way, but we are not going to allow this horror to continue. 2 years ago, we were a great nation, and we will soon be a great nation again. It was hard-working patriots like you who built this country. And it is hardworking patriots like you who are going to save our country. We will stand up to the radical left Democrats and the dangerous, unpatriotic rhinos, and we will fight for America like no one has ever fought before. There is no mountain we cannot climb. There is no summit we cannot reach. There is no challenge we cannot meet. There is no victory we cannot have. We will not bend. We will not break. We will not yield. We will never give in. We will never give up. And we will never, ever back down. As long as we are confident, united, and loyal to the cause, the tyrants we are fighting do not stand a chance of victory. Because we are Americans, and Americans kneel to God and God alone. The silent majority is back and stronger than ever before. My fellow citizens, this incredible journey we are on together has only just begun, and it is time to start talking about greatness for our country again. We are one movement, one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. So with the help of everyone here today and the citizens all across our land, we will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. God bless you all.